ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् आचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे
वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्
गुरुपरम्पराम्
ॐ सहना
ईश्वरो
भवतु
भवतु
सहनौ
सह
भुनक्तु
भुनक्तु
सह
सह
वीर्यम्
वीर्यं
कर्वावहै
करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा
विद्विषावहैः
विद्विषावहैः
ॐ
ॐ
शान्तिः
शान्ति
शान्तिः
शान्ति शान्तिः
शान्तिः Om Tat Sat, Om Namah Shivaya, good
ॐ
morning.
तत्सत् ॐ नमः शिवाय
So we are on the 61st Karika and let us chant that. Yatha swapne dvaya bhasam
यथा
यथा
स्वप्ने
स्वप्ने
त्वयाभासम्
द्वयाभासम्
chittam chalati mayaya
चित्तं
चित्तं
चलति
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 मायया
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 tatha jagridvaya bhasam
तथा
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 जाग्रद्वया
जाग्रद्वया
भासम्
जाग्रद्वया
जाग्रद्वयाभासम्
भासम्
chittam chalati mayaya.
चित्तं
चित्तं
चलति
चित्तं चलति
चलति
मायया
मायया
मायया.
मायया
Recording in progress.
Okay, so yatha chittam chalati. Somebody's speaker is on. Will you please switch it off? We're getting feedback. Hello. So yatha, just as. Is this my feedback or somebody else's feedback is on? I'll just mute all of you also that. Okay. Yatha chittam chalati. Just as the mind moves and dvaya bhasam. And when the mind moves, dvaya abhasam. There seems to be duality. Why? Because the duality is created because of our thoughts. So therefore, yatha chittam chalati dvaya bhasam. Just as the mind moves, Jagrat avasthayam, so in the waking state, and seeming duality is there, tatha, in the same manner, chittam chalati, the mind moves in swapne, in the dream state also, and the duality in the dream state is also maya. So, yatha chittam chalati, just as the mind moves in the waking state, and the seeming duality is because of maya. Similarly, in the dream state also, the seeming duality is because of Maya. Right? So Vedanta puts forward the dream example. And we say that in dream also we experience a world which is very tangible at the time that we experience, which is very similar to the waking world, which is very tangible at the time we experience. Right? When can you say that the dream experience was not tangible? Only after waking up. But while you are in the dream world is very real to us and capable of generating raga, dvesha, sukham, dukham, everything. So, from the standpoint of the dreamer, the dream world is very solidly existing. But from the standpoint of the waker, the dream world is as good as non existent. Right? Therefore, when we say the dream is not real, the dream is mithya, we actually say pratibhasik satyam, right? Subjective reality. It is never from the standpoint of the dreamer, but always from the standpoint of the wake. Yeah. Similarly, in the waking state, you can negate the world only from the standpoint of Turyam, of Brahman, but not from the waker Vishwa's standpoint. Just as the dreamer Taijasa, for the dreamer Taijasa, the dream is very, very real. The dream world is very, very real. The dream world also gives him happiness, sorrow, pain, everything, right? Similarly, the waker Vishwa, from his viewpoint, The waking world is real. And this waking world cannot be negated from the viewpoint of the Vishwa, but it can be negated from the viewpoint of Turiya. Thus, what is being said is actually what is being said here, we have said before in the 29th or 30th Karikas, I think. So, only thing in those Karikas, we said the word used was mind, whereas in these three Karikas, the word used is chitta. But the gist is the same. Whatever objects you experience in a dream are only thoughts in the mind. Similarly, whatever objects you experience in the Jagrada Avastha, now there when you say thoughts in the mind, how should you qualify it? You say the dream objects I experience are thoughts in my mind. But when you say in the waking state, when I experience objects, they are also thoughts. But should I say my mind? What should I say? Nobody?
In the mind?
Whose mind?
Ishvara's mind.
Ishvara's mind. That is a big difference. You are the creator of the dream world. Therefore, whatever you experience in that dream state, in in the dream universe, they are thoughts in your mind, the waker's mind. But Ishvara, you are not the creator of this world, the waking world. Waking world's creator is Ishvara. And therefore, whatever objects you experience in the waking state are thoughts in Ishvara's mind. So if the dreamer could rationalize this way, he would also say that whatever thoughts I am experiencing now are thoughts in the waker's mind. And the waker for this world, for this Jagrata Prapancha, for the waking world, the waker is Ishvara. And that is why Ishvara's mind is also called Maya. Okay. So that's why this says Maya, Ishvara's mind, right? So when it says Maya for Swapna, first line, Yatha Swapne Dvaya Bhasam Chittam Chalati Maya, those are referring to the individual mind. But Tatha Jagrat Dvaya Bhasam Chittam Chalati Maya. The second line, the Maya is Ishvara's mind. Now we look at Karika number 62. Please unmute yourself and we will chant. Right. Advayam Chadvayabhasam
Advayam
Advayam
cha dvayabhasam
Chadvayabhasam
Chittam Swapnena Samshayaha
चित्तं
Chittam
chittam
स्वप्नेन
Swapnena
swapnena
संशयः
Samshayah
samshayah
Advayam Chadvayabhasam
अद्वयं च
Advayam
Advayam cha
द्वयाभासं
Chadvayabhasam
dvayabhasam
तथा जागरन्न संशयः
Tatha
tatha
जागरन्
Jagranna
jagran
संशयः
Samshayah
samshayah.
So, Swapne na samshayaha. In the dream, there is no doubt that Advayam Chittam Dvayabhasam. That the Advayam Chittam, the non-dual mind alone, Dvayabhasam, appears as the seeming duality. So, just as in the dream, you have no doubt that it is the non-dual mind of the waker which appears as the seeming duality in the dream state. Tatha. In the same way, Advayam Dvayabhasam, the non-dual mind alone, is the duality. Jagrat na samshayaha. In the waking state also, of this also, there is no doubt. So in the dream, the objects in the dream are not separated from the mind of the waker. This is the idea. Similarly, one Maya alone, one Samashti Manaha, one universal mind alone is appearing as the Jagrat Prapancha, the entire waking world. And that Jagrat Prapancha is not separate from Maya, Ishvara's mind. But it's the same thing. Just as your dream experience is nothing but your own mind, your waking experience is nothing but Ishvara's mind. So when I say yours, you have to be very careful. In the dream state, the waker is not experiencing. The dreamer is experiencing. So the dreamer plus the dream universe is nothing but the waker's mind. Similarly, you, the waker here in the waking state, plus the waking universe is nothing but Ishvara's mind. Right? So this is one of the best examples that you can have to illustrate the idea of non-difference of the mind from the experience. But of course, between the dream example and the waking example, there is one major limitation. What is that?
Uh, are we talking about the Jagat still existing when we
Very good.
get up
So
from the...
in the dream example, when you wake up, the dream universe goes away. But in the waking state, when you wake up in inverted commas by gaining knowledge. What knowledge? I am Brahman. I am Turyam. And therefore you become a jnani. But the Jagrat Prapancha, the waking universe does not go away. Right? So for here you have to say like it is the continuation of the dream, but with the knowledge that it is a dream. So in a dream state, I have heard it being referred to as what lucid dreams, right? Where you know that you are dreaming. That is the state of a jnani. He knows he is dreaming, but he continues to experience the dream. Okay. Now, Karika number 63. Please unmute yourself. We will chant. स्वप्नदृक् प्रचरन् स्वप्ने
स्वप्नदृक्
Swapnadrik pracharans
स्वप्ने
swapne
दिक्षु वै दशसु स्थितान्
दिक्षु
dikshu vai
वैदशस्तु
dashasu
स्थितान्
sthitan
अन्दजान् स्वेदजानपि
अन्दजान्
antajan
वेदजान्वापि
vedajanapi
अण्डजान् स्वेदजान् वापि
antajan
अन्दजान्
sudajanvapi
वेदजान्वापि
जीवान् पश्यति यान् सदा
जीवान्
jivan
पश्यति
pashyati yan sada.
Okay, so he says that swapne pracharan, moving about in the dream. Swapnadrik. Swapnadrik is the one who is seeing the dream. So one who is seeing the dream. So the dreamer. Swapnadrik, the seer of the dream. In other words, the dreamer. So swapne pracharan, moving around in the dream. Swapnadrik, the dreamers, sees various beings, and we'll come to that. Born of eggs, born of moisture, etc., etc., etc. And Dishevai Dashasu in all the 10 directions. So Pracharan means moving around. Swapne means in the dream. Swapnadrik is the dreamer. Sada Pashyati constantly sees Yan Jivan. These jivas, these various jivas, Andajan. Andajan means born from eggs. Swedajan, born of moisture. Sitan, Vapistitan, and existing. Why? Dashashu, Diksuhu, in all the 10 directions. So we'll explain each of them. So Swapnadrik, I am the dreamer. And who is the dreamer? The actual waker projects the entire universe. And he projects his own mind, the special dream mind, as the dreamer. Swapnadrik is nothing but a thought in the dreamer's mind, which becomes the dreamer who has a dream body, dream indriyas, and even a dream mind. Why do you have to say dream mind separate from the waker's mind? What is the difference between the dream mind which experiences and the waker's mind which also experiences?
The waker's experiences create the dream experiences. Are we talking about that?
Which mind is available to the dreamer? The dream mind or the waker's mind?
Dream mind.
Why not the waker's mind?
Um, because
Why can you not say that waker's mind is available to the dreamer?
Because Baker's mind is resolved, it's only partially functioning or
yeah, the
projecting.
sense
It's not
organs.
playing.
Waker's mind is partially functioning.
It's
Hmm.
only playing, it's not creating any new experiences.
No, that is correct. But the main reason that you cannot say the waker's mind is available to the dreamer is something else. If the waker's mind was available, then he would know that it is only a dream.
Hmm.
Right? It is the waker's mind which knows this is a dream, not the dreamer's mind. And the difference between the waker's mind and the dreamer's mind is precisely this. The dreamer's mind also experiences the dream pleasure and dream pain, but does not know that is all a dream happening in the dream world. Therefore, for the dreamer, the waker's mind creates a special mind which is limited and ignorant of the fact that it is awake. What is the comparison with us, the jiva? Remember the Swapnadrik, the dreamer, has got chittam, has got body, has got indriyanis, has got a world also. And with this special set of body, mind, sense complex, dream body, mind, sense complex, the waker's mind becomes an individual Swapnadrik located in the Swapna Prapancha. But what is the fact? I, the waker, am I this individual or am I something which pervades the entire dream world?
I am something which pervades the entire dream.
Why? Because the dream world itself is located in the waking mind, right?
Right.
But instead of seeing it that way, I, the dreamer, have a mind which is ignorant, specifically ignorant, prajna, prakarshena agnya, especially ignorant. And therefore, I, the dreamer, look at myself as an individual located in the dream world with the individual sense of body, mind, and sense organs. This is what he is saying. And you have to draw parallels. I, the Vishwa, am very close to this Tajasa. Because not knowing myself as the Vaker's mind, as Ishvara's mind, Maya, I take myself to be the individual located in this Jagrata Avastha, Jagrata Prapancha, with all the problems of an individual. Right? So he says, Pracharan Swapne, Dikshu Vai Dashasu. In the dream, I move around Dashasu Dikshu in all the 10 directions. I hope you guys remember 10 directions, right? What are the 10 directions? Small questions just to keep us, focused. 4 directions everybody knows. North, south, east,
North,
North,
west.
south,
south, east, west.
northeast,
Northeast,
south, in
southeast.
between,
4 intermediate directions, north, east, south, etc.
And
8. Up
and
and
up
down,
and down,
10.
Up and down.
Right?
up and
That
down.
covers 360 degrees. Okay. So I move around in all the 10 directions. And Jivan Pashyati Sada Sthitan. In all these directions, I see Jivas. Right? And then there are the special words which are being used. Andajan, Shwetajan, etc. Okay. Before we come to that explanation, let us look at how Gaudabalacharya is developing this particular subject. What does he do? He first introduces Atma, the consciousness, right? He introduces the mind and introduces the world. So there are three things introduced in the beginning: consciousness, mind, and world. Then in the first stage, we'll point out that consciousness is the subject and mind is the object, right? And then you point out that subject is Satyam and object is Mithya. Then you go to the second stage, mind is subject and world is object. And then you say mind is Satyam, world is Mithya. Therefore, you take the mind world pair later on. What is the argument for establishing that between Atma and mind, between consciousness and mind is Mithya? What is the argument? Mind is the object of the consciousness, right? Anything which is an object of something is always Mithya. Subject is Satyam, object is Mithya is the rule. Therefore, when you take the consciousness mind pair, you are saying consciousness, the Atma is Satyam, and mind is the object. Therefore, it is Mithya. After that, you move to the mind world pair, and then you say world is Mithya because it is an object of the mind. Anything which is an object is Mithya. Therefore, finally, you have to move backwards and say, take the world, take the mind. World is Mithya because it is an object of the mind. Then you go backwards and say, okay, mind is also Mithya because it is only an object of consciousness. Right? And this consciousness is what Gaudapada here is referring to as Swapnadrik, the dreamer. And Swapnadrik Chittam is the mind. And the Jagat is Swapnadrik Chitta Drishyam, the object of the dreamer's mind. So, technical terms, Swapnadrik, the dreamer, Swapnadrik Chittam, dreamer's mind, Swapnadrik Chitta Drishyam, the object of the dreamer's mind. And of these two, mind is Mithya, world is Mithya, consciousness alone is Satya. Okay. Okay, now let's come back to those four or five technical words we used. In the scriptures, all the jivas, so in the scriptures, when I say there's a specific Upanishad called Aitareya Upanishad, which we'll do sometime. Okay. That this classification comes from that Upanishad. So they say there are four categories of jivas. One is Andaja. That's clear enough. Ja is born out of Anda is eggs. Andaja, beings, jivas born out of eggs. Svedaja, beings born out of moisture. Okay, now scientifically speaking, this may or may not be true, right? But what do you see when let's say, go to the kitchen where there's been damp boxes lying for lots of months, and you lift up the box? Do you see some small white, minute organisms below?
Yes.
That's what he's referring to as Svedaja. Literally meaning born out of moisture. Which may not really be true, but let's take it as such. Then Jarayujaha, born out of a womb, right? So the normal, we know, mammals, human beings, all those. And Udbijaha. Udbijaha means literally something which is born by breaking open the ground. So you have things like plants, trees, herbs, all living beings under this category of coming out of the earth. Plants, seeds, whatever. They are all fall under Utpija. So this is the explanation of that four categories. Note that I talked about the mind, but in this Karika, the mind is not mentioned. This is the first part, consciousness alone. Mind and so we'll go to the next Karika where mind is mentioned. So look at Karika number 64, which we will chant. स्वप्नदृक्चित्तदर्श्यास्ते
स्वप्नदृक्चित्तदृश्यास्ते
स्वप्नदृक्चित्तद्रश्यास्ते
विद्यन्ते ततः पृथक्
न
न
न
विद्यन्ते
विद्यन्ते
ततः
विद्यन्ते
ततः
ततः
पृथक्
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 तथा दृश्यमेवेदम्
तथा
तथा
दृश्यमेवेदम्
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 स्वप्नदृक्चित्तमिष्यते
स्वप्नदृक्चित्तमिष्यते
स्वप्नदृक्चित्तमीष्यते
So you have to break that. Swapnadruk chitta drashya te. Right. The te has to be there. Te refers to all those jivas. Te, those jivas, swapnadruk chitta drashyaha, which are drishyaha, objects of chittaha, of the mind of swapnadruk. So you read it like Urdu from the right to the left. Drishyaha of chittaha of the swapnadruk. Right? The objects of the mind of the dreamer. So those jivas or those beings or those entities which are objects of the dreamer's mind, na vidyante, do not exist, tatha pratak. That's very important. Do not exist, tatha prataka. Tatha means that swapna drikchittam, that dreamer's mind. Prataka means apart from, separate from. Therefore, those objects, entities, which can be living beings, non-living beings, which are objects of the dreamer's mind, have no separate existence apart from his mind. Right? So the mind of the dreamer, Swapna Drikchittam, is said to be the object of perception of the dreamer consciousness. That is said later. Idam Swapnadrik Chittam. Idam Chittam, this mind, Swapnadrik, of the dreamer, Ishyate, is said to be, is accepted to be Tad Drishyam Eva. Tad refers to a dreamer, object of that dreamer's mind. Right. Now, consciousness and the mind we discussed in the previous Karika. Here, the second set, second pair, mind and world is being taken up. The dream world, so you have to supply all that we saw in the previous Karika, Andaja, Jaravija, Sudaja, Utvija, all those. The dream world consisting of all the jivas is the object. And the subject is who? Swapna Drik Chittam. The subject is the mind of the dreamer, the dream world, and all its objects is the object of the dreamer's mind. For this dreamer's mind, everything, including the entire dream universe, is Swapnadrik Chitta Drashyaha, is a object only, which is not different from his own mind. And Tataha, by that same reasoning, Idam Swapnadrik Chitta, the mind which is the subject from the standpoint of the Swapna Prapancha, right? Because we said that when you take the mind and the dream world, the mind is the subject. Again, the dreamer's mind is the subject, and the dream world is the object. Therefore, by the same reasoning, this mind which from the dream point of view is the subject, is what ishyate tad drishyam eva, is an object from the standpoint of the consciousness. The consciousness is who? In this case, the dreamer. What is he called? The dreamer consciousness. What is it called? Swapnadrak, it says here. But what do we also know it as?
Sakshi Chaitanyam.
Taijasa.
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 So you have to connect everything, right? So the mind is also mithya. It does not have an existence separate from the consciousness. And therefore, what? What is the conclusion? The Jagat is mithya. The mind is also mithya. This is as far as the dream is concerned. Then he goes to the waking state. Okay. We will chant number 65. Charan jagarite jagrad.
Charan
Jagrati
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 Dikshu vai dashasu sthitan.
Dikshuveda
Dikshuvaidasyastam
Shastam
Annajan svedajan vapi.
Andajan
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 Vedajan
Vedajan
Vapi
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 Jivan pashyati yan sada.
Jivan
Jivan
Pashyati
Pashyatyan
Jidam
sada.
Sada.
Yatyan Sada.
Very similar to the 63rd verse. What is the difference? What is the difference between 63rd verse and here? That was Swapna Avastha. This is Jagrada Avastha.
Waking state.
Right. So, Charan Jagaride, moving about in the Jagaritam, in the waking state. Jagrataha, the waker, the Vishwa, Sada Pashyati, always sees Yan Jivan, all these beings, living beings, Jivas, Andajan, Svedajan Vapi, born of eggs and moisture, etc. Sthitan Vai Dashashu Dikshuhu, existing in all the 10 directions. Right? So in Karika 63, the words were Swapnadrik, Swapnadrik Chittam, and Swapnadrik Chitta Drishyam. Here the words are Jagradrik, Jagradrik Chittam, and Jagradrik Chitta Drishyam. Not exactly these words, but these are ideas being conveyed. There was in 63, it was dreamer, the dreamer's mind, and the objects of the dreamer's mind. Here it is the waker's mind, and the objects of the waker mind. So, what is the idea being conveyed? That the waking state, Jagrada Avastha, is very, very similar to the Swapna state, Swapna Avastha. So, Jagrite, Jagrat. In Jagrat also, the consciousness principle is there. And Jivan Pashyati Sthitan Yan Sada. In all these directions, the Vishwa, he sees Jivas always. What kind of Jivas? Born from eggs, moisture, etc. Right? And in all the directions, he sees. Dikshu Vai Dashu Sthitan. Just remember the idea being conveyed here is a comparison between the dream state and the waking state, that they are almost identical. Right? The difference is what? Between dream state and waking state, what is the real difference? The subject mind is the difference. In the dream state, the subject mind belongs to whom?
The dreamer.
Waker.
The waker. And in the Jagrada Avastha, the subject mind belongs to whom?
Ishvara.
Ishvara. So as long as we are clear about this, we will now go to the 66th Karika. Jagrat chitte kshanyaste.
Jagrit
Jagrat
chitte
chitte
Kshanyaste.
kshanyaste
kshanyaste
न विद्यन्ते ततः पृथक्
न
न
विद्यन्ते ततः
vidyante
पृथक्
tatah
पृथक्
prithak
तथा दृश्यम् एवेदम्
तथा
तथा
दृश्यमेवेदम्
दृश्यमेवेदम्
जागृतश्चित्तमिष्यते
जगतश्चित्तमिष्यते
जागृतश्चित्तमिष्यते.
So you can see the similarities in all the Karikas. They, those living beings and things, Jagrat Chitte Ikshaniya. So that breakup is important over here. That you have to break it up as Jagrat Chit Ikshaniya. Ikshaniya means seen from the word Akshi. Okay, eyes. Jagrat Chitte Ikshaniya. Those living beings which are seen as objects of the waker's mind. Jagrat Chitte. Na vidyante. Do not exist. Tataha pratak. Apart from the waker's mind. So in the previous Karika, we said those living beings and things which are seen as object of the dreamer's mind, they do not exist apart from the dreamer's mind, apart from the waker's mind. And here we are saying those objects seen as objects of the waker's mind, they do not exist apart from that mind. Idam tatha, idam chittam jagrataha ishyate. Then similarly, the waker's mind, tad drishyam evam, is said to be the object of that consciousness of the waker's mind. So here, tad drishyam, that tad refers to who? To Ishvara. Very similar karika to the last one. So he says, te jagrat chitta ikshaniya. Those objects seen in the waking state are objects of the waker's mind. What is the conclusion? The waker's mind is the subject and the Jagrat world is the object. In the last Karika we said, dreamer's mind is a subject and the dream world is the object. So that is just me paraphrased here. The waker's mind is the subject, the waking world is the object. But na vidyante tataha pratak. The waker's world is mithya. The Jagrat Prapancha is mithya because it does not exist separate from the waker's mind, which in the context of the waker's mind and the world, remember, in the context of that pair, the waker's mind and the world, the waker's mind is the relative satyam and the world is mithya. Therefore, there is no world other than the waker's mind. Then tataha jagrataha idam chittam tad drishyameva. Similarly, the waker's mind is an object of Atma, consciousness, and therefore that waker's mind does not exist separate from the consciousness principle, Atma. Therefore, the waker's mind is also mithya. Therefore, the Jagrat Chittam, waker's mind is mithya. Jagrat Chitta Drishyam, the objects of the waker's mind, which is the world, is also mithya. Mind and world are mithya. So, both in the waking state as well as in the dream state, the mind and its objects are both mithya. What is Satyam? Only that consciousness which pervades the waker's mind, which pervades the dreamer's mind. That consciousness is beyond matter. Therefore, only that consciousness alone is Satya. Remember, the mind is always useful for transactions. But we should not forget that mind as well as the objects of the world are made up of Maya, Maya has three gunas, and that is why Krishna said, Guna guneshu vartante iti matva na sanjate. You should understand that guna guneshu vartante. That mind and Maya are always interacting. Interactions give you experiences. Iti matva. Having understood this, na sanjate. One should never be disturbed. We saw this in another chapter also. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkha sadaha dukkha dukkhadaha agama paino nityaha tam stitikshasva bharata. When the objects interact with sense organs, there will arise cold, heat, happiness, and sorrow. Shitaha, Ushnaha, Sukhaha, Dukkhaha. Agama apainaha. They are always temporary. They come and they go. Nityaha, they are temporary. Therefore, tam titikshasva bharata. Learn to look upon them without getting your mind disturbed. Whatever is subject to coming and going is what? Mithya alone. Mithya can never touch you. Be Satya. Now we look at 67. Ubheyanyonya drishye. Sorry. Ubheyanyonya drishyete.
Ubhe
Ubhe
hanyo
Drishyate
drishyete
Kim tadastiti nochyate.
किं
kim
तदस्ति
Tadasthi
नोचते
tadasti nochate
Lakshana shunyamubhayam.
लक्षणा
lakshana
Lakshanashunyam
shunyam ubhayam
Tanmate naiva grahyate.
तन्मते नैव
mate naiva gryate.
So here a question is being answered. Both are seen. Can you say that they are independent? So he says, Ubhe te hi anyonya drishye. Both of them are mutually perceived. Anyonya, mutually perceived. Kim tadasti? Can you ask, do either of them exist? What is the answer? Na iti uchyate. No, it is said, Ubhayam lakshana shunyam grihyate. Lakshanam is the definition, the indicator. So, Ubhayam, for both these, lakshana shunyam, there is no definition at all, grihyate, by which they can be said to exist or by which they can be grasped. Lakshana shunyam means without an indicator at all. How will you grasp them? Then, grihyate, each one of them you can understand, tanmatena eva. Because there is the idea of the other one. Okay, let us see what it means. We said that mind and Jagat, world, are both mithya, both are unreal. Can the mind exist without the world? No. Can the world exist without the mind? No. And therefore, anyonya, they have mutual dependence. What do you mean by this statement? When the world exists and you perceive the world, then only can you say that the mind exists. Okay, very important statement. When you say the mind exists, you are saying it from the standpoint of the existing world only. Therefore, the existence of the mind, when you are talking about, you are also talking about existence of the world. Do you agree?
Yes.
Any
Yes,
doubts?
Acharya.
Okay. So remember that mind belongs to the Anatma world. And you cannot separate the mind Anatma and the world Anatma. They are all part of the same grand picture. Therefore, the existence of the mind, when you talk about, you are talking about existence of the world. And if you have to talk about existence of the world, what do you have to talk about? Existence of the mind. Therefore, there is mutual in mutual dependence. How do you know there is mutual dependence? What is the experience that you have which proves that without the mind, the world does not exist?
If there is no mind, you will not experience anything.
The sleep.
So when the experiencer is not there, experienced is also not there.
When do you know that?
In sleep.
When you're sleeping.
Sushupti avastha, not sleeping.
Sushupti.
Sushupti avastha. In Sushupti avastha, the mind resolves, the world resolves. So, Anvaya Vatireka. Mind is there, world is there. Mind is not there, world is not there. What is the conclusion?
Mutually dependent.
They're mutually dependent.
Right. Without the mind, the world cannot exist. Therefore, the mind is mithya and it cannot exist without the world. This is an important point, right? Because there are a lot of meditation teachers, meditation classes who tell you what in meditation, remove the thoughts. What is the problem with that instruction? Remove thoughts in meditation.
That's not possible. The mind will always have thoughts. It's virtually impossible to
And
have.
therefore, if you are asked to remove the thoughts, you are being asked to remove the mind.
Yes,
And if you remove the
which is not.
mind, you are being asked to remove the world.
Mm.
One can never have the mind alone without the world. Remember that. You can never have a mind which is without thoughts because you have removed thoughts. That is Sushupti Avastha. When the mind is resolved, the world is not there. This is what a lot of people mean by samadhi, which is not true. So one can never have the mind without the world. Both are mutually dependent. That is why in Sushupti Avastha, the mind and the world both go away. When you come out of Sushupti Avastha, the mind and the world both come back. You can't say only mind came back, world didn't come back. You cannot say only world came back, mind didn't come back. Therefore, ubhe tehi anonya drishye. Both the mind and the world are perceived, both in Jagrata Avastha and in Swapna Avasthas. Anonya means anyonya because of mutual dependence, each because of the other. Therefore, mind depends on the world depends upon the mind, right? The appreciation of the pot depends upon the pot thought, right? The pot thought arises because of the pot. Do you get it? If I'm seeing a pot, I'm having a pot thought. But I can't have the pot thought if I'm not seeing the pot. Therefore, thoughts and objects, they are not separate from each other. They're mutually dependent. And therefore, kim tad asti, if you ask, does the mind exist and the world exists independently? What is the answer? Na iti uchyate. Neither can exist independently. They are mutually dependent. Understanding of the mind is possible only by the understanding of the world. Understanding the world is possible only through the understanding of the mind. And that's the reason. That's why he says, Lakshanam Shunyam Ubhayam. Both cannot be defined independently. Proof of the existence of the world depends upon the mind. Proof of the existence of the mind depends upon the world. And you can extend this. other sense organs. If the world is without colors and forms, can you ever talk about the existence of the eyes? If the world is without any smell, can you ever talk about the existence of the nose? If the world has no sound, can you talk about the existence of the ears? No. Tanmatena eva griyate. You can recognize each one only because of the other one. It takes this mutual dependence for this mutual recognition. This implies what? Mind and world are projected. But not only that, the seer and the object creation, object relationship, the seer scene relationship, they are also superimposed. So there's an example given in a text called Vichara Sagara that says, in a dream, let us say that this Vichara Sagara example, it says, in a dream, there are two elephants you have seen. One is mother elephant and one is baby elephant, right? Now, which elephant was born first?
The mother elephant.
Mother elephant.
Right. So there is a Karana Karya Sambandha in your dream.
Mm.
But when you wake up and you review the dream, do you see the mother elephant being born first and then the baby elephant?
I didn't understand that, Acharya. By virtue of being the mother, we are saying that it is born first, the mother
Yes.
elephant.
The
Yes,
Karana Karya Sambandha exists between mother and
right,
child. But when you're in
right.
the dream, which comes first? In the dream, do you see the mother being born first and then the child being born? No. Both of
No,
them come
no.
together in the dream.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And therefore, there is no Karya Karana Sambandha. The mother and baby came into existence together. The mother baby relationship came into existence simultaneously with the projection of the dream. That is what is being said here also. Between the mind, the Jagat, and the Karya Karana relationship between the mind and the Jagat, they all come into existence simultaneously. In the
Mm.
waking state, the Pramata, the Pramanam, the Prameyam, as well as the relationship, they don't follow a time sequence. They come into existence simultaneously. The mind and world exist. Why? Because it is seen. This actually is called something called Drishti Srishti Vadaha. In fact, we have not done this before, right? There are two prakriyas for teaching. One is called Drishti Srishti Vadaha. The other is called Srishti Drishti Vadaha. Drishti Srishti Vadaha. Srishti Drishti Vadaha. These are all these are not conclusions actually. They are prakriya, teaching methodology. It is a means of arriving at a conclusion. There are several prakriyas, right? To explain creation. Avastatrayam. So many prakriyas are there. These are two of them. And the conventional prakriya which we use is Srishti, Drishti, Vada. In English, Srishti is creation, Jagat. Drishti is I see. Therefore, the sequence is creation exists, therefore I see it. Srishti, Drishti, Vada. The creation exists because I see it. But there is another prakriya, rarely used actually. Drishti, Srishti Vadaha. I see the creation, therefore it exists. Do you see the difference? Srishti Drishtivadaha says creation is there, existing. Therefore, I'm able to see it, which is the normal understanding. But the other Prakriya says that I see it, therefore it exists. Both Prakriyas are valid Prakriyas accepted by traditional Advaita Sampradaya. Okay. Why are they both accepted? Because both will lead to the same final conclusion. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. In fact, in most of Shankara's Bhashyam, which we are relying upon, Drishti Srishti Vadaha is not discussed much. Okay, Shankara, it seems, accepted mostly Srishti Drishti Vadaha. You don't find any discussion on Drishti Srishti Vadaha, which is surprising because if it was existing in his time, Shankara would definitely have discussed it. The idea that something exists because I see it. Shankara doesn't talk about. Therefore, we have to take it for granted that this is a work of post Shankara Acharya. Anyway, this is all by the way, just for information. But both are equally valid. Therefore, it is sufficient to understand for our purposes Srishti Drishti Vadaha. And in this Srishti Drishti Vadaha is where we talk about the three orders of reality: Paramarthika, Vyavaharika, and Paramarthika, and Pratibhasika. That is why Srishti Drishti Vadaha is also called Triveda Satta Vadaha. There are three orders of reality. Satta is reality, Trivedaha, three types: Paramarthika, Vyavaharika, and Pratibhasika. But if you have academic interest, it is better to also look at Drishti Srishti Vadaha, not necessary for moksha, right? But not bad either. Without Drishti Srishti Vadaha, you will be a Jivan Mukta. With both the Vadahas, you will be a scholarly Jivan Mukta. You can decide which you want to be.
I have a question about Drishti Srishtivada.
Yep.
Is that what the Hinayana Buddhists?
You know, Madhyamika school is more or less the same. But the difference is what? They say that it is
The
the Waker's
flow of
world is a mental
consciousness.
projection. Waker's world is a mental projection. What do we say? We also say Waker's world is a mental projection. They say Waker's world is mental projection, your mental projection. We say Waker's world is
Ishvara.
Ishvara's mental projection. Therefore, Drishti Srishtivada resembles that Shanikavada very closely. But this is a difference. This is a very technical topic. And to differentiate these two Vadas, a lot of analysis is required. Therefore, I will suggest that Drishti Srishtivada, for the time being at least, we can safely ignore. And even Dayana Swami says that Drishti Srishtivada can be safely ignored. But those who want to read, well, you'll have to wait till we actually come to Vichara Sagara, very, very far away. When we do that, we will cover the Drishti Srishti Vada also. So with this, we'll stop for today. Any questions?
Sir, I don't know if I missed something, but when you mentioned, someone mentioned sleep and you said no sushupti, uh, is
Sleep is
there,
Swapna. Sleep is Swapna.
sleep
Swapna is
is
dreaming
swapna? I
state.
thought that's dream. We
Swapna is
don't,
the English word sleep.
huh,
If you want to distinguish from Sushupti Avastha, you have to use dreamless sleep or whatever they call it.
okay, okay.
REM sleep.
And
Better not to use all those words. We simply say Jagrata Avastha,
sush,
Swapna Avastha, Sushupti Avastha.
swapna, sushupti. And nidra samay, is there any difference in that?
No, Nidra is sleep.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Chatterjee.
Yes, June.
So we were saying that when our mind is resolved in Sushupti Avastha, the world also is resolved.
For you, yes.
Yes. So that's the limitation of this example. It's just for each jiva.
It's not a limitation at all. For you, it doesn't exist.
Yes.
You can
But
never get up in a sushupti and you can never see the world exists.
yes, but when I'm sleeping, you're awake and
So it
Jagat
exists for
is
me.
still
I'm not saying it is not there.
okay.
That is the difference. The objective reality of something
Okay.
depends upon the observer,
Okay.
not upon third or second another observer.
I
And
have one more question about the dreamer's mind and the waker's mind. I'm still a little fuzzy
Yeah,
on that. Uh, the mind of the dreamer is projected by the mind of the waker.
correct.
That is understandable. Uh, but the whole dream prapancha is created by the waker's mind.
Waker's mind, in which the dreamer's mind is also one entity.
So the Karan Sharir is not involved in the dream projection.
Karma doesn't do anything. Karma is the basic cause for the Sukshma Sharira, for the mind.
Thank you.
Acharyaji, also when we say that if I see the rose, I have a rose thought in my mind, but
Yes.
I can have the rose thought in my mind without having a rose in front of me also.
But you've
Like
seen the rose
my
before.
okay. Okay, got it.
That means the memory of the rose is there.
Yeah.
If I say, can you see? You don't know what I'm meaning, right? Because you never see that. You can't have a thought without the object in front of you.
Yes, like you cannot teach the colors to a person that was being born blind.
Correct.
Yeah,
Any
okay.
object and its thought are always correlated.
Mm-hmm.
These are a little bit of mananam is required because science teaches us differently. Science teaches about the objective reality of the world, even if you're not there. So there's a limerick. I don't remember the limerick. I mean, the exact wordings. So it says, "Oh Lord," I mean, something like this. "Oh Lord, it is strange that the tree continues to be when I am not in the quad." Okay, the quad is, what? The quad is what do you call a little space behind the house where there's a tree. So this guy is talking about this particular philosophy, which says that when you don't see it, it is not there. Right? When you're not. So he's saying it is strange that when I am not there, the tree continues to be in the that place. The actual answer should be what? That how do you know it is there or not there when you're not there? But the answer given in the limerick is, dear so and so, I am always there. That is why the tree continues to be there. Yours faithfully, God. God. See the difference? From the waker's mind, from the Ishvara's mind, everything is always there. Because Ishvara is always there. That is why you perceive it. From your mind, you are not there. How can you be saying is there or not? You can look up the limerick. If you type these words, you'll probably find that limerick. It's a nice limerick.
Acharya,
Yeah, Spandana.
last question. Could we say in the teaching methodology of Advaita, when we're talking about the Adhyaropa, we are superimposing Shrishti Dishti Vada, and then when we do the Apavada, we're doing the Ajata Vada.
For Advaita, there is no such thing as Mithya. For anybody other than Advaitam, there is no Mithya at all. Excepting Yogacharya, which
Acharyaji,
talks
and
about.
also
Sorry, we
Sorry?
couldn't hear you.
I'm saying for a Dvaita philosopher, there is no Mithya. So there is no question of Adhyaropa. You get it?
And when
Adhyaropa is the superimposition of a mithya object on a real substratum.
from the point of view of the teaching methodology of Advaita, so could we equate when we do, because first we do the superimposition, right, to be able to teach from a beginner. So when we're doing the superimposition, we talk about how Shrishti came about to be, and we're intentionally doing that superimposition. Could we say that is same as the Shrishti Drishtivada?
Both, yeah, because you are seeing it, therefore it is there. Then you try to explain why you are seeing it by saying it is superimposition.
Right.
Right.
And then when we do the Apavada, we negate that superimposition. Then we're coming to Advaita and the Ajatavada.
Jativada is the final stage where you say nothing was ever there excepting Brahman. But you must always be careful to remember, even Ajativada also is done in Vyavaharika.
Correct.
You cannot dismiss Vyavaharika experience. You can dismiss Vyavaharika Satyam.
Yes.
Experience you can never dismiss because you're talking there, you're speaking there. The entire class is in Vyavaharika.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is all for today. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Meva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Acharya.